Calm down.
Get her to sit calmly. Try to control her.
But we were told self-stimming is good. It eventually calms them.
Self-stimming or self-comforting?
Self-stimulation, rocking, spinning, rolling on the floor, flapping.
I think spinning is good. And rolling too. Self-stimulation does seem to eventually calm the nervous system. It can be a way to compensate for not being held. Being held by another person is scary, but rolling or being held by surfaces produces the calming effect that ordinary children get from a hug.
How old's your child?
Well, I don't have children. No, I'm autistic. And I need the sensation of being hugged. And I've developed a machine that I get into and hugs me, and I'm different afterwards. I'm more social. Well, I didn't speak until I was 4. Now I have a BA and a master's, and I'm studying for my doctorate.
How did you learn to speak?
Please don't shout. Please don't shout.
Most autistic people are very sensitive to sounds and colors. Overstimulation hurts. You know, people talking too much at once, can cause us to panic.
How did you get cured?
Well, I'm not cured. I'll always be autistic. My mother refused to believe that I wouldn't speak. And when I learned to speak, she made me go to school. And in school and at home, manners and rules were really important. They were pounded into me. I was lucky. All these things worked for me. Everyone worked hard to make sure that I was engaged. And they knew I was different, but not less. I had a gift. I could see the world in a new way. I could see details that other people were blind to. My mother pushed me to become self-sufficient. I worked summers in my aunt's ranch, went to boarding school and college. And those things were uncomfortable for me at first, but they helped me to open doors to new worlds.
Excuse me, please, but we want to hear everything.
Yes.
Okay, so I want this to be a very interactive class, so I'm definitely gonna need you all to come up on the mic. Just tell me, what are your thoughts on the video? How did the video make you feel? Anyone?
Well, I'd seen this video before I've seen this movie, so it was a recap of that, and it is pretty intense in that at the last where she sees the door, she intentionally decides she's going to walk through that door no matter the cost because she saw the prize at the end of that. So that's what stood out to me.
Outstanding, outstanding. Someone else?
You're getting some comments in the chat also, Dwaylen. I'll tell you what jumps out at me. I love when she says that she's grateful that her mom helped her realize that she's different but not less. Man, that moves me. Very powerful.
Yeah, thank you for that, Ryan. And I'm opening up my chat right now. So, and I apologize. I'm okay with Zoom. I teach on Blackboard Collaborate, and we use Teams a lot. So chat is good, but I definitely want to hear you all's voices. So there's 23 people in this room right now. So really quick, just one at a time, I want everybody to just come on, just say who you are and just say one positive thing about you. So it should take no more than about 2 to 3 minutes.
I'm Nancy too, and I'm a pretty positive person.
Okay, thank you, Nancy. Nice to meet you, ma'am.
Hey, Sergeant Major. Hey, Sergeant Major. It's Sergeant Narado here. Resilient.
All right, Sonorado, thank you for that, brother. Appreciate it.
Al Franklin, tough.
All right, Mr. Franklin, thank you, sir.
Kenny Rojas, determined.
All right, Kenny, thank you, sir. Appreciate that.
Lee Resnick, a go-giver.
Oh, yes. Thank you, sir. Appreciate you for sharing.
Sean Fields, servant.
Ah, love it. Thank you, Sean.
Alan Delaney, blessed and highly favored.
Ah, love it. Thank you, sir.
Rebecca. Skip Caracas, grateful.
Amen.
Rebecca McEwen, and I am God's child.
Oh, wow. Wow. Awesome. I don't even know what to say about that one. Woo! It's pumped me up. Okay, keep it going.
And this is Jonathan Dunn. I am a loving father.
Amen.
Myra Beard, determined.
Oh, outstanding.
Jim Williams, saved and learning.
Oh, amazing, amazing. Let's keep it going. Keep that positive energy going.
Hey, Dwayne, this is Richard. I'm a blessed father, husband, grandfather, and grateful to be a child of God.
All right, amen, Richard. Thank you for sharing, brother. So everybody spoke up, hopefully. All right. So I'm gonna share this screen over here on my left side. And again, chatting is okay, but I definitely want to hear you all's voices more than just the chat room. So can everybody see the screen? Self-awareness Saturday, crucial ingredient to self-development.
Yes, sir.
All right, thank you. And my wife's bringing me some coffee. Thank you, sweetheart. All right. So like Ron said, and Ron, thank you for having me on here. Been in the military for 31 years. And so what that has taught me is that people matter. People matter more than anything on this planet. And so I've dedicated my life to giving back to people, because when you leave this planet, that's all you're going to have left is your charitable gifts. What did you give to other people? So I love to share. And at any point, if I'm going too fast, because I get hyped up, and Sonorado, you know that. If I'm going too fast, slow me down, just come up on the net and just say, hey, what did you mean by that? And just ask questions, and I'm here for you, okay? So I got two quotes for you. First one is from John Maxwell. Can someone read that quote, please? Anyone?
I have to know me to grow me.
And what does that mean to you?
To me, I believe that it means that I need to definitely be real with myself and not dismiss things or ignore them, so that I can move past and I can grow and become a better person.
Outstanding. Thank you. Thank you for sharing. All right, someone else take that one from Socrates.
Know thyself.
Ah, yes. And what does that mean to you?
I need to know what my strengths are and be able to capitalize them. And then I hate to use the word weakness, but I like to use the word improves. Things that I need to improve on in my life to maybe add that to my strength list.
Outstanding. And so that's what we're going to talk about today, is knowing self, being self-aware. And that's what that video was about. That young lady, Temple Grandin, she's 72 years old right now. She's a formidable foe against autism and understanding autism. She was one of the first people to capture and document about autism. And she created a device that hugged people. And so two prominent things with that. It was her understanding herself, but not just her, but her mother, understanding her drawbacks and her biases and working through those and seeing her daughter in a different way and pushing her daughter. So we're going to talk about self-awareness and how important it is, because at the end of the day, you know, the software that we're using, our relationships with Christ, our relationship with ourselves, none of this stuff matters. Even trying to work on our goals, we can't get after anything until we truly understand who we are on this planet. So before we start, I want you to give yourself a break. And what I mean by give yourself a break is we are hardwired to think certain ways, okay? If you're a male, you think a certain way. If you're a female, you think a certain way. Depending on the region of the planet that you were born in, you're gonna think a certain way. as a human on this planet, we put so much pressure on ourselves to be better, to grow, develop, to do all these different things. Give yourself a break. That's one thing I want you to do, is focus on just relaxing, because if you have all this pressure to try to change, you will miss something. So just relax this morning, take in some data, and let's just have a good time together. So give yourself a break. All right, so what is self-awareness to you? Anybody just chime in, what is self-awareness?
Being tuned into your tendencies, your habits, your thoughts.
Okay, thank you, Ryan. I appreciate that. Anybody else?
I find knowing ourselves has two sides to it. It's the natural person that I am, and then sometimes society makes me become somebody else, the nature versus nurture side. So sometimes I realize I need to get to know the difference between the two. Who am I and what am I performing at level-wise?
All right, I appreciate that. Thank you. All right, so I'm gonna put some things up here. Okay, looking at our feelings. What are our motives, our attitudes, our curiosity? What are we curious about? Our desires, our strengths, and our weaknesses. Do any of those words resonate with anyone?
Yes.
Okay. How about this right here, icebergs? How about knowing our icebergs? Because if you look at the other ones, they're kind of positive. When you throw out the word icebergs, it has like a negative overtone to it. What do you think about icebergs?
I think that with icebergs, not only knowing myself, it's knowing what I'm showing people. So I'm showing people on the surface certain things, but there's other things underneath, greater things that I may not be showing, or I may not be aware that I could go further or be better. So things underneath that maybe I've buried, or I'm not showing others.
Outstanding. And who was that just spoke up? And I'm trying to look at two screens at once, so I
It's
apologize.
Rebecca. It's Rebecca McEwen.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. Appreciate that. Anybody else on icebergs?
Yeah, Dwaylen, it's Mark Williams. And it's interesting to talk about it, the icebergs, from in terms of what we show to other people. You know, for me, or not show to other people, as the case may be. But for me, there are things about myself I just don't know. They're icebergs to me. You know, and so a lot of times, either I have to ask God to show me, or I have to be willing to have enough courage to ask other people, what am I missing? What am I not seeing in myself that I need to see?
Outstanding. Yeah, because if you react a certain way to something, you know, a stimulus, let's say you get out of the shower and someone was in the shower before you and the carpet is wet when you come out, and you step on the carpet, it's slightly wet, and you just lose it. You know, you start throwing things all over the bathroom. You have an iceberg. There's something going on deeper inside of you. You know,
absolutely.
Yeah, you got to peel the onion back and figure out why you're throwing things all over the bathroom, first of all. But maybe you came from a family that had 10 people, and you were the youngest of 10 siblings, and by the time you got out of the shower, the floor was soaking wet, and you just felt used. You felt abused, you know, just because the floor was wet. So our icebergs are very important. You know, the way we react to different things is very important to self-awareness.
Well, in that case too, we might not have ever been the person who stepped out of a shower onto a dry floor.
Very true.
So other people are used to stepping onto a dry floor, but we're not.
No, thank you. So why is it important? Why is self-awareness important?
There's always more to the story, regardless of what we're talking about. Within ourselves, there's always more. It's below the surface.
Wow, love it.
Well, I'd like to add to that. This is Jolene. Self-awareness is, for me, the biggest thing that self-awareness has done for me is it's helped me to realize that When I'm more self-aware, I'm able to focus more on the other people that I'm communicating with, because I already know myself. So then I can divert my attention to really focusing on them.
Outstanding. Well said. So take a look right here.
Hey, Dwaylen, this is Alan. I would say that self-awareness for me serves a couple of purposes. Number one, it identifies areas of improvement for myself where I can grow and become stronger, better, best version of me. And it also identifies areas where I need him, where my strengths are, so that I can apply those, so that when I'm serving others, I'm effective for them.
Outstanding. Amazing. Thank you. Thank you. Can someone read this, please?
Essentially, the more you pay attention to your emotions and how you work and think, the better you'll understand why you do the things you do. The more you know about yourself, the easier it is to improve and make changes.
Amen. Thank you. Thank you. All right, so this next slide, I have 5 things on here. These are the 5 pillars of self-awareness, and we're going to run through these. The one I'm spending a little bit of time on is attitude towards change. But the first one is emotional intelligence. And emotional intelligence is starting to gain a lot of recognition right now. Some of you all are probably aware of it. We teach this a lot at the Psalm Majors Academy. And so emotional intelligence is just being aware of your emotions at all times. It's not about controlling your emotions, okay, because we're not here to control them. We're just here to at least have an understanding of why we are upset about something. Let's say we're driving and we see a homeless person and we just start crying. Well, analyze that. Ask yourself, why am I crying about this person being homeless, okay? Just being aware and trying to understand our emotions. Core self-evaluation. Has anybody ever heard of core self-evaluation?
Just the term.
Okay, what have you heard, sir?
Just the term.
Okay, all right. Well, core self-evaluation, it represents a stable personality trait which encompasses an individual subconscious, like things that we see on our subconscious or that we may not see, okay? So when we're doing self-evaluations, there's parts of us that we may not be able to peel the onion back because it's deep inside of our psyche, all right? But I'm gonna give you some tools that's gonna help get to that. What about core values? Has anybody ever heard of core values?
Yeah, absolutely.
Up in the chat. So the Army has 7 core values: loyalty, duty, respect, selfless service, honor, integrity, and personal courage. Those are great. I have to, as a soldier, I have to know those. I have to put those inside of my body and understand them. But I also have 4 myself that have nothing to do necessarily with the Army. So our core values are very important in understanding self. And then the next one is learning style. So there are 4 learning styles. Does anybody know their learning style?
Well, this is Richard. I'm a visual learner.
Okay, visual learner. All right.
Visual and kinesthetic.
Okay, visual kinesthetic.
I'm visual, kinesthetic, and audio. I'm a little bit dense. I guess I need all 3.
All right.
Good for you, Jolene.
Well, we teach what's called Kolb learning style inventory. And so we have 4 different types of learning styles. You got the converger, the diverger, the assimilator, and the accommodator. And so you may find yourself in one of these. So I'm gonna give you some characteristics of each one of these. And then I want 4 people to just come in and say, okay, well, this is where I'm at. This is where I see myself. We're gonna start with the converger first. So the converger, they tend to do best in situations where there's a single best solution or an answer to a problem. We call them the thinkers and the doers. The divergers, these are people with learning styles that are good at seeing the big picture and organizing smaller bits of information into a meaningful whole. Divergers tend to be emotional and creative. We call them fillers and watchers. All right. Then we have what's called the assimilators. These people, they tend to be more interested in abstract ideas than people. Not that they don't like people, but they like abstract ideas. We call these people thinkers, and watchers. And then finally, we have the accommodators. These are the doers. They enjoy performing experiments and carrying out plans in real world. These are probably people that's going to do very well with that software. So where do you see yourself? I just need 4 people to come up. Where do you see yourselves?
I'm a diverger,
Okay, divergent.
primarily.
All right. All right, 3 more. Someone that we haven't heard from this morning.
I love the software. What kind of learning is that?
Well, if you like the software and you like to experiment, you're more of an accommodator.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so your accommodators, they're going to tend to be the greatest risk takers. You know, they're good at thinking on their feet, changing their plans spontaneously. So if you really like that software, yeah, you might find yourself into the accommodating arena of learning style.
That sounds right. Thanks.
All right, thank you for sharing. All right, 2 more.
This is James Turner. Yes, the Air Force made me accommodator and a diverger. Worked on an aircraft. Our plans were constantly changing. We're having to adapt.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for sharing. All right, one more. Sonorado, how about you? What do you fall at?
Sergeant Major.
Okay, all right, thank you. Okay, so these 4 are very important, but this is the one that we're looking at right here because as adults, we already come into this and we think a certain way, all right? And we're gonna talk about change. So why do you think change fails? Anybody?
It's uncomfortable.
Uncomfortable? Outstanding. That's a big one. All right, somebody put something in the chat. Let me take a look. Don't want it bad enough? Okay.
We like familiarity.
We like familiarity. Yes.
You're not committed to it.
Not committed to it. Okay. So let's take a look.
Don't truly believe in it.
Don't believe in it. How about allowing too much complacency? Is a little complacency okay in our lives? Being a little complacent?
From time to time, Sergeant Major.
Yeah, that's human. I mean, if we try to not be complacent at all, I mean, that's not gonna happen. I think there was one person that lived on this planet for 33 years that was probably the only perfect being that ever walked this planet. But that's just human. Now, too much complacency, all right, or underestimating the power of your vision. I know my brother Luis has probably talked to you all about having a vision. Under-communicating a vision to yourself. Permitting obstacles to block your vision. Failing to create short-term wins. Declaring victory too soon. And a big one is neglecting to anchor changes firmly into your psyche. All right, so when we're looking at change, the thing with adults, we think that changing is just learning something new. Change actually happens when you unlearn something and then relearn it. That's the thing with this whole software. I know my journey into this business and understanding it. I've been into stocks. I'm in the cryptocurrency, the housing market, TSP, investing, so many different arenas. Got so many irons in the fire, but this software is teaching me to unlearn the way I look at money. And so it's actually changing me. Hold on one second. Somebody threw something in the chat. Let me see what that was. Yes, unlearning old ways, die hard. Yes, Mr. Williams, agreed. All right, so 2 people. I just need 2 people to share with me what change have you seen over your life within the last 5 years? What are some major changes that have taken place in your lives?
This is Rebecca. Over the last few years, I've started looking at money differently, and that it's more of a tool, and that, you know, if I had some, I can get more, and that it's not evil.
Outstanding. It's not evil. There's nothing wrong with wanting more. Yeah, thank you for sharing. Outstanding. All right, one more person.
Hey, Sergeant Major, I've learned as I'm getting closer and closer towards retirement, the way I treat money, I need to give it a lot more respect than I have in the past.
Okay, good, good. And then, thank you for that, Sergeant Ronald. And then, Mr. Mark Williams, you've said leaving 35 years of local church pastoral ministry behind. So elaborate on that, sir.
Well, it's just, you know, living in that way of life, going to the same workplace every day, having all the structures of my week, seeing a lot of people on a regular basis, having repeated tasks that I've done for years, and all of it's new after stepping into entrepreneurial ministry. And stepping into business and being out of one kind of environment and trying to build all kinds of new habits without that years of structure, past structure in place. You know, I'm in a different world, and so yeah, I guess that's really enough to say, unless you have anything to ask me.
No, no, thank you. Thank you for sharing. Yeah, I just wanted you to elaborate, and you did that. I appreciate that. Okay. All right, so we're going to continue on. And by no means do I want to rush this, but I want to leave some room at the end so we can just have an open discussion. And that can happen anytime doing this if you want to talk about something that's burning in your heart. So how to create self-awareness, all right? Because we're talking about self-awareness. We're going over this thing. We're going to look at how do we create self-awareness. So there are 3 ways: good, better, and best. So a good way, taking a self-scoring test like the Myers-Briggs or the 16 PF. Okay, it's a good way. Has anybody here done the Myers-Briggs? All right, Sharon, I'm not sure how to say your name, ma'am. Albrecht, is that correct, ma'am?
Yes, that's correct. That's good.
Yes, ma'am. So when you did the Myers-Briggs, what was your personality?
Right on the cusp of the I and the E, the introvert and the extrovert, INFP. And the main thing I remember about it is the P me is the kind of person that likes to keep their options open as long as possible.
Okay, outstanding. Thank you. Thank you for sharing. Thank you. And I see a couple other ones, Mr. Mark Williams, Lee Resnick, and Skip. All right, can you all hear me? I apologize. I'm not sure what happened.
Yeah, you're good.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay, yeah, I dropped off for some reason there. Let me get back. All right, so as I was saying, you know, you have the good, the better, which is reflecting on your feelings, thoughts, and behaviors. And then the last one, the best way, ask people who know you best. Okay, seek honest feedback and apply all 3. Here's the thing. If you're married, you already have the best person in your life that's going to be able to tell you about yourself. That's already there. God has given you someone that's going to share with you. If you're not married, talk to your parents, talk to your siblings, talk to your coworkers, okay? And be open for whatever feedback they're giving you. You know, don't try to make excuses. Ask honest, just tell me about myself. What do you see me? Okay, how do you see me? How do I react to stimuli? Just be open and honest with me, and then sit back and take it in, and then apply all three of those. Do a Myers-Briggs, do a 16 PF. Okay, reflect on your feelings, your thoughts, and your behaviors, and then also ask for feedback, and then write it down and sit back and analyze that. Because here's the thing, you're worth it. You know, we're talking about software, we're talking about money, we talk about all these other things on this planet. If you have two amazing beings, you have God and you have God's son. You have someone who asked his only kid to come on this planet and die, okay, for these things called humans. Well, the question was asked, but more importantly, the question was accepted. This person said, okay, I'll go do it, all right? And if these two powerful beings did that for us, I think you're very important. You're so important for them to do that. You need to put time into yourself and analyze yourself. And when we're talking about analyzing software, analyzing, you know, these different pairs, analyze yourself. Reflect on who you truly are, because you're worth it. But if you apply all three of these, you're definitely going to get after some self-awareness. All right, so these are some of the hindrances. And I think we talked about a couple of these, so we're going to go through them. We have biases. And what is a bias to you? Anyone?
Learned behaviors, preconceived ideas about life.
Okay, good. Thank you. All right, two more people.
Preformed, preformed. Well, the word has escaped me. That's my age.
That's okay. But you said something that's preformed, okay? It's something that's already, you know, that we create and it continues to resonate throughout our life. How about prejudices? Learned helplessness. Anybody ever heard of learned helplessness?
I would see learned helplessness all the time in the classroom.
Okay, what example? Can you share an example?
When a parent would do something for a child so much that when they'd come into the classroom, I had a parent that would come and hang their child's backpack up on their hook for them every morning. This was second grade. So, you know, if she came in on her own, she's like, I don't know where mine is. How do you not know? You know, and that was really learned helplessness, because when I stopped the parent from coming in and made her do it on her own, well, it didn't take any time for her to figure it out.
Outstanding. Thank you. And something as simple as that, and that's a great example. Or even a traumatic event. Someone's driving a car, they get into a car wreck, and all of a sudden they say, you know what, I can't drive. No matter what, I can never drive again. You know, that's a learned helplessness. Great example. And someone put something in the chat. 1 second. Yeah, outstanding. Thank you. Psychological blocks. Okay. Can anybody take psychological blocks?
Hey, Doyle, this is Richard. You know, in my military career, I think I've seen some of this where I used to be a basic training first sergeant, and a lot of kids would come with family members, parents, and friends that I think would tell them they would never amount to anything. And they had this ingrained in their head for years and years and years. So they had this block that they were useless, would never amount to anything, and just would struggle in life. It's kind of the way I see that.
Thank you. Amazing. And, you know, as adults, as we grow and develop, you know, we take on different ideas, traits, ways of thinking that fix their way into our subconscious. You know, as parents, I mean, we have these amazing little things called children that grow up into these adults. And when we pour into them, or when they go to school or their jobs, things are poured into people, you know, our own ideas. and they become fixate into our psyche, and those become psychological blocks. And we don't realize sometimes the way we see the world, okay, it's because we have a psychological block. But becoming self-aware of those, we can help break down those barriers. And that ignorance is bliss attitude. Yeah, that's one that I think that might be an iceberg for me, because that one kind of gets to me. Yeah, it's not a good one. And then our habits. So these are some of the things that can become hindrances to being self-aware. And it's just something that you just need to understand and know, because as we're trying to grow, you know, this software, this company, Ryan and Jolene, they're givers, they're sharers. We want to share what we have. That's what it's all about. I mean, when you die, you're going to be gone. Okay, you can't take none of this stuff with you anyway. It's all about helping enlighten other people. So you don't want your biases, your prejudices, your learned helplessness, your psychological blocks, negative attitudes or habits to get in the way of sharing with other people, because we all want to do well on this planet. So these are my closing thoughts. So consistently identify your thoughts, emotions, and behaviors. As you're going throughout it, again, you are very important, okay? You are so important, again, that a father asked the son and the son agreed to do it, to die for you, if that's what you believe. Could just be a story. I mean, I just happen to believe it, but you are very important. So consistently identify your thoughts, emotions, and behaviors. Seek to identify patterns in thinking and behavior, particularly counterproductive patterns. Stay open and curious. I'm a big Marvel person. And when I tell the class, you know, when I'm teaching that, you know, I like Marvel, I get the look. Sometimes they're like, you're a Sergeant Major, you're a brigade level Sergeant Major, you train thousands of people. How can you like Marvel? That's just, it's not real. None of that stuff is real. People really can't fly. People can't do. And what I tell them is, as a leader, in order for me to come up with some ideas for us to train, I have to be open to everything. Keep myself open, stay curious about the world, okay? If you look at Star Trek, the reason we have these amazing little things called cell phones, that cell phones came from the tricorder that a captain on a television show back in the 70s created. And so, yeah, just stay open and curious about the world and appreciate that self-awareness is the path to inner peace. So finally, if A is equal to 1 and Z is equal to 26 on a scale, then if we add up all of the letters and knowledge, having the right amount of knowledge will get you to 96%. Okay? If we add up all the letters and hard work, that'll get you to 98%. Attitude is 100%. It doesn't matter what we're trying to do on this planet, okay? It doesn't matter how we live our lives. If we have a bad attitude, it's like changing a flat tire. You cannot go anywhere without changing it. So at this point, that ends my class. I would like to have an open discussion, and I'll definitely want some feedback on how the class was. And I'm taking any questions. And I'm looking at the chat. So if you ask me a question in the chat, I'm probably not going to answer it because I want to hear your voice. You're amazing human beings. I'd rather just hear your voice.
Sergeant Major, what's the best way to identify your biases?
So for me, the best way is I look at the gift that I was given, which is that second human. I look at what the first human that was created, which was me, and the flaws that I have in the second human. You know, the second version always the better version. And I just ask that version. I say, babe, what are my biases? What do you see? Because sometimes I can't see my own biases. Before I was married, I would actually ask my soldiers, hey, look, where am I messing up at? You know, tell me. And then like, when I was a first sergeant, they were first sergeant, everything you do is good. I'm like, nope, you're not leaving this room until you tell me what's wrong. And then once one person would say something, then they would start opening up. And that's how I would actually learn my bias. Because if it's a bias, I might not be able to see it. So I would use other people to help me identify them. Hopefully that answers your question, sir.
This is Rebecca. I want to know what tools or what you use to go about once you've identified like a psychological block. How do you get rid of it, or how do you, I don't know, come to terms with it so you can move past it? Is there a way?
Yeah, so for me, what I do is I journal everything. So I'm a big journaler. So I get up in the mornings, I do a devotional, and I write everything down. So I put it down, spend about 30 minutes up to an hour putting things on paper. And I'll go back and I read through those things and I find, you know, man, this is how I look at the world. This is how I see things. And sometimes I start peeling the onion back, and I also see counselors. I seek counseling not just for myself, but because I'm a counselor, I'm a coach, I'm a mentor. And so when I'm talking to counselors, they're asking me questions and they help me peel the onion back on myself. And so there's a lot of things that gets unveiled in my psyche, in my subconscious, through talking with counselors, through talking with other people, just being open and honest about who I am, and how I see the world. And so from that, like I said, I do a lot of journeying. Spend a lot of time with Christ. That for me. And now, like I said, the 16 PF, Myers-Briggs, there's a lot of other tests out there that you can use to analyze yourself to see if you have any psychological blocks. Does that help?
Yes, thank you.
Yes, ma'am, no problem.
Sir, I just want to say how much humility I sense in your presentation, which I think is amazing to be able to teach us self-awareness. And I wanted to just mention that one of the most powerful teachings that I've ever had was through StrengthsFinder, the book, Now Discover Your Strengths or whatever. And one of the things they talk about in the book I think is so awesome is that a lot of people think that they need to spend all their time working on the things that are not their strengths and don't ever really know their strengths well enough. And then they're not really humble enough to ask people who are strong in the things that they themselves are weak in for help.
Yeah, that's very profound. And that's one good thing about the military is that people will tell you when you're wrong. They will tell you. That's part of their job, to let you know when you're messing up. And you're right. You know, we look at the negative, and being self-aware also means just appreciating yourself, appreciating, you know, just what you bring to the table, just your voice. Everybody, and that's why I like to hear people's voice. You know, we can type in these chat rooms, but we all have this amazing voice. Let your voices be heard. You know, just that alone, just sharing, you know, something positive about yourself could make someone else's day. It might not, but it's okay if it doesn't. But you still have amazing voices, and I think that's the biggest thing. Just appreciating, you know, who you are as a human being on this planet. You know, this beautiful creation. You know, that was designed by the great architect of the universe. Yeah. So any more questions? And here's the thing, there's no such thing as a dumb question. I don't believe in dumb questions because it gives a person a chance to speak. We can hear your voice, get to know you a little better.
Hey, Dwayne, this is Richard.
Yes, sir.
Hey, I just threw a thing in the chat. You know, I'm a master resilience trainer still, but we do a thing on character strengths, and I just threw it in the chat on taking the VIA character strengths survey. Go to Authentic Happiness. There's 240 questions, and just for the group, one of the things that helped me understand why I do what I do, why I react the way I react. You answer the questions, they break it down into 25 different character strengths. that you have. And I have found in my own life, like early on in my life, I struggled with forgiveness and different things. And then when I identified things that needed some attention in my life that became important to me, I was able to work on them through various means. But I'd encourage somebody that likes, why do I do what I do? Why do I feel the way I feel? Why does this my automatic? You know, one of my number one strengths is just I live in Funville, so humor is usually in my top one or two. So my automatic default mechanism is humor. But it take you a little bit to do this. But I'd encourage the group to take this survey, answer the questions honestly. Don't answer them who you think you are, because I've done that before. Answer them very honestly. And again, like Sergeant Major said, if you don't know, ask the person that lives in your house with you, and they can help you understand, like, really truly where you are. I think you would enjoy it. Appreciate it, brother.
Oh, that's outstanding. Thank you for that. And I did say I was going to give you some tools, and I get caught up in people, and I was listening to you all stories, and I forgot to share that. So thank you for sharing that. And you're right, Richard. That is an amazing one. You get a chance to see your traits, you know, the things that you're strong in. And if you answer those questions honestly, you will really get to see yourself.
Hey, Dwaylon, it's Ryan.
Yes, sir.
On a scale of 1 to 10, how strongly would you encourage people to seek out an accountability partner to help them grow in their self-awareness?
11. Yeah, I mean, it's very important. Like I said, I appreciate what God gave me, which is my amazing wife, because that's a counselor. And it took me some years to understand that unsolicited advice that she gives me is precious. And I'm gonna get to accountability partner. So it's precious. It's a good thing. It's something that she always gives me, and I definitely appreciate what she shares with me about myself. And like I said, a couple of years, it took me a minute to realize, okay, this is good. Because she's pouring into me. If she ever stopped giving me that advice, that's probably when I need to worry, because she stops caring. An accountability partner, Mark, is someone who basically lets you know where you're falling short. I deal with a lot of soldiers. Soldiers have a lot of issues that are unseen and unheard. I mean, we talk about the 22 soldiers that kill themselves each day, or veterans from PTSD. But unfortunately, there's a lot of soldiers who get married young, and they really don't understand what that means. They don't understand what it means to be married, to join yourself at the hip to another person. And so having an accountability partner will help you really know yourself, let you know, hey, look, you probably shouldn't get married yet. You need to understand yourself first. And it's just another person to keep you straight. Porn, we deal with a lot of soldiers that are plagued by pornography. That's a huge one in the military. And it's not hard to spot. Having a conversation with a couple soldiers, I get them to open up real quick, and then they don't want to share, but then they just breaking down. And if you have accountability partner, you can openly share that you're struggling with pornography, or you're struggling with your relationships, or you're struggling with alcohol, or you're struggling with thinking about killing yourself, committing suicide. An accountability partner is someone that you can be open and honest with, that you can share with, and I cannot remember the name. That individual can also help you with psychological blocks as well. I know somebody's got a burning question in their heart right now, and so I wanted to keep this to about an hour. But what I don't want you to do is walk away with the burning question, because whenever I teach, I haven't taught. I didn't teach this year. This year I was the vice chair for the Department of Command Leadership, so I'm responsible for 7 active duty sergeants major and 7 civilians who are the DA civilians. But when I did teach, I would make sure my students understood how important they were. I wouldn't let them leave the classroom unless they understood that they were important. They would try, right, Sergeant Major, we're important. I'm like, no, stop. You are important, you know. And then you'd see tears streaming down their face because they've been told their whole life, you know, just to go, 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 fight, 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 go kill the enemy, go to other countries, just be a servant leader, go, go, go. And, you know, and they forgot how important they are. I mean, I would have senior leaders, you know, that were broken physically still try to run. They would go to a medical appointment and they would sit in a medical appointment feeling guilty for going to a medical appointment. And it was foreign to them, alien to them when I would say, hey, go to your appointment, take care of yourself. Yes, I'm gonna go, but I'm gonna make it back and I can get all this stuff done. Hey, don't worry about this stuff over here. Focus on taking care of yourself. So if, right now, this is about you. This is about you, your spirit, your being self-aware. If there's any question that you got for me personally, I want you to ask. Or any question that's burning inside of you, I want you to ask it because you're important. Okay, so what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna put my email address in here. So if you do have a question or something you want to talk about, I'm a counselor, I'm a mentor, I'm a coach, I'm married. That in itself right there gives me a whole bunch of certifications being married. Yeah, if you want to talk about anything, I'm here. That's what I'm here for. I got another meeting at 9:30 with another sergeant major who was in class 69, and they want to talk about some things. So yeah, and I talk about life, and I enjoy it. I love it. That's what God put us on this planet for, not to be rich and make all this money and, you know, and not share it. We're here to share data points. Share, if my life is rich and if Christ died for me and I'm having a good time and I'm enjoying life, well, I'm not supposed to just enjoy life and do nothing with that. I'm supposed to enjoy life and share Christ and share life with other people so we can all be on this planet just having a good time. So God bless you all. If you don't have anything else for me, Ryan, I'll turn it back over to you, sir.